Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time. As always, thank you to Lux, our feral venerator of Serene, for the support. And also, we have a new Patreon. So thank you, Spencer, or Pike D, who is on our Discord and join us because he found out that our episodes are released in advance when you're a Patreon. You can listen to them on the Friday instead of the Monday. It's incredible, and he joined for that. So maybe you should too if you're not one of our patrons.
That's right.
You should totally.
You don't want to wait.
You should totally join our Patreon.
You should do it.
So
Yes. So today we are talking about fan theories, but not just any fan theories. We're talking about sometimes when social media and fans get a little too into their theory and don't think about what they're saying. And this leads to sometimes theories being a little homophobic or transphobic or just problematic in general. So today is going to be a cautionary tale about what not to do when theorizing about future seasons of shows, specifically this show called The Wheel of Time that you can find on Amazon Prime.
yeah, it's not just in the typical social media like Twitter and this kind of thing. I know there's some Discords where it seems like it's a theory that comes back every month. It's apparently Swan must die. Why? I don't know.
People are they're really into Swan. They're
really obsessed with that.
And I was shocked by how quickly that theory, pretty much once they confirmed that Swan and Moraine specifically were a thing, people were like, okay, so yeah, so I think Swan's gonna die. And I was like, where's this coming from?
Honestly, before episode 6 of the first season came out, there were already theory about Swan dying. And I was like, what? Where does that come from?
This woman hasn't even been on our screen yet. Can we let her cook? My God.
Can the black queer women just, cook a little bit?
Can we just enjoy this for a little bit, please?
Yeah, it has been very frustrating, and I have mentioned that on social media a lot. On Twitter, I had rants and threads about why this is bullshit, especially when you know everything about the show itself, when you know about Rafe, when you know why Rosamund Pike decided to send a passionate letter to Sophia Conedo. When you look at the books and how much potential Swan as a character has, as much before the coup than after the coup, and it's been kind of mind-blowing how people are jumping on this character must die, especially when you see the contrast with the potential death of other characters. Before season 2 came out, I could not find it again, but I swear there was a poll maybe a few months after season 1 came out about if a character had to die next season, who would that be?
Yeah.
And I think within the poll there was Uno, Liana, Swan, and someone else. I don't remember who. And I mean, people were a lot more convinced that Swan has to die compared to Uno, who does nothing in the books.
Arguably, Swan is because I remember the one you're talking about, the poll you're talking about. I don't remember who the other option was, but it is very safe to say that of the options, Swan is the most and I'm thinking that may have been some people's motivation, that Swan was the most important character. in
Mhm.
the grouping in the options given, and so that may have been some people's reasoning for it. But it was like I think a lot this it stemmed from a comment, kind of like not completely a throwaway comment, but a comment that Rafe made that like, oh, who knows what's who's gonna like, things may not be what you think they're gonna be.
Right.
And people kind of took that and ran with it and said like, okay, so this means that a major character, someone we care about, is going to die. Who's it going to be? It's got to be Swan. Like that seems
Yeah.
genuinely like the progression.
The thing
Yeah.
is that, like, Swan, when you look at the characters that are the most mentioned in the books, Swan is number 12. Tom is number 13.
Yeah.
And you do not see the same passion in killing Tom than you see in killing Swan, because people, when you mention to them, oh yeah, Tom could die and it's fine, they'll be like, no, but like Tom is actually important. He does a lot of things. He's Matt's mentor and this kind of thing. And they're true. They're right when saying that Tom is important.
Yeah.
Swan is too.
Yes.
Like Swan is Egwene's mentor.
Egwene wouldn't have made it as Amerlin without Swan's mentorship. And that's not a knock. That's not a knock against Egwene's skills and Egwene's passion and whatnot. But Swan was very much like a guiding focus for Egwene.
It's a concept of a mentor.
Yeah, exactly. She was a mentor for her.
It's like what Moraine and Katswane are to Rand, what Loyal in a way, and Elias and maybe Goal is to Perrin.
Yeah.
What Tom is to Matt.
Yeah.
Like that's Swan for Egwene.
For Egwene. Yeah.
And there's so much to build between those two. And yeah, it blows my mind, but at the same time, it doesn't blow my mind that much because we are also in a fandom that doesn't give much value to Egwene's arc.
This is the thing.
So of course, the mentor of Egwene's arc
Yeah.
kind of doesn't really have any value. And also, it doesn't end well for Swan because we also end up with Brandon Sanderson, who doesn't know to write woman, who didn't know how to write Swan.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this is the thing. It's it's and I think I it's not lost on me that and it may not be. I'm not saying that this is necessarily an intentional thing that people are doing. But I think part of the reason why people are like, oh yeah, Swan could die, is because of how it would impact Moraine, which bothers me.
Yeah.
That bothers me a lot. Because I mean, just in a general sense, it's frustrating that that's the storyline that queer people always get. It's beyond frustrating. And a second layer to that is that Swan isn't even seen as her own sort of person, like her own sort of character in and of herself, which is kind of disappointing. And like she's not recognized for her own merits. There's a lot that would not happen without Swan. They just wouldn't. Yeah.
And no, you cannot easily replace her with Lyanna. Lyanna never was the Ameline. There's things that only Swans knows that needs to be transmitted to Egwene. And Swan is the only one that can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Swan gets like what it means to come from like very humble beginnings and to like have to strive and have to fight for like recognition and your place somewhere. And Egwene very much feels that. I think especially more like it's even more obvious on the show that Egwene feels that she's trying to fight, be recognized, which is what makes what she goes through in season 2 so devastating because she is recognized in the worst possible way. And Swan very much goes through that, I think, as a character that she fought to be recognized and then was horribly like that was all taken away and like literally stripped from her. And she fights again to be recognized. And that's not to say that they, there are some stumbles that get taken in terms of her storyline towards the end of the series, but like it's really, really admirable to see how she doesn't give up. And I think it's a lot of Swan is mirrored in Egwene, as opposed to Moraine. Yeah.
I know, Matt, you wanted to say something.
I forgot.
Oh no, sorry, buddy.
No, it's fine. No, I remember. It's like people were talking, and Leanna does have a lot of cool moments, but like the line that a lot of people are talking about is, "Oh, you speak to the Amerlin when I open my mouth," or something like that. Like that is cool, yes, but that does not a character make. It's like
No.
it's
No.
like Nine Aves, "Will he write alone?" line. Like,
Mhm.
is it cool? Well, I would argue not really. But many people in the fandom do think it is. But still, even if I was to concede that it's a cool line, it doesn't make Nynaeve's character. And
Right.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand how character writing works. You know, we've had like in a lot of recent TV, we've had this idea that you have to kill off characters
Mhm.
for there to be real stakes. And that's one of the reasons I was not happy with Uno's death, though after hearing Guy Roberts talk about it, after
Yeah.
hearing the logic behind it, I see and I support that decision to kill Uno off. Even if I didn't like it, I still support. You can
Mhm.
support something and not like it.
Of course you can.
But I don't think people realize that killing people off for the sake of it's a sign of bad writing. Like if
Mhm.
you think that killing off characters is bad writing, or if you think that reducing characters down to some sassy one-liners is good writing, it's not.
Mhm.
Like those are points. Those are like highlight points which you can see a before and an after for a character's development. But there is no rational reason to want, and this is me being mean, but like there's no rational reason to want Swan to die in the show. If you say like the more misogynistic or misogynistic
Yeah. Yeah.
the more sexist and one that I've seen, the more sexist rationale is, oh, it could give Moraine some character development.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter that it's two women, it's still fridging. It
Yeah.
is a fridging adjacent storyline, and we've already talked about that with another character. Let's not
Mhm.
rehash that with Siuan. The second rationale I've seen is that she doesn't do anything, and that it could streamline some of the show. But she does things like when you're taking Tom, Siuan, and Uno,
Mhm.
you need Siuan and arguably Tom. Like I'm not saying that Tom is not important because yes, he's a mentor to Matt, but
Mhm.
Siuan's a mentor to Egwene.
Yeah.
And
And also, like, Swan's character actually has a very interesting arc in the books because she's this character who comes from nothing,
Mhm.
who raised to the top and then lost everything. And it could have gone really badly after losing everything because this is like she gets stealed. It's a death sentence for most people who go through that. And I don't exactly remember, but like I do think at some point she almost consider it at first, but then it's like, no, I still have a mission to do. I still have a purpose.
She has purpose.
She holds on.
She hold on. She's holding on that purpose for however long it may takes. And she has no guarantee that it's going to bring her anything except she's saving the world. And she's doing all of that for that. And I think it's an incredible arc and it's an incredibly inspiring story. And especially being able to see that on the TV show from a Black queer woman.
I was just going to say.
Would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I was just going to say, we get so few examples of Black queer women, of Black women in general in a positive light. It is so rare, especially if we like narrow it down even further, especially in the fantasy sci-fi genre. It is unbelievably rare to get this.
This is just my little teeny tiny pitch for everybody to watch 911 because it has the best Black queer lesbian couple, and I'm just saying.
Matt has been trying to influence since Jordan Con to watch 911, and listen, I'm not saying it's not working. It's doing something.
There are scenes where there are like a half dozen characters in a scene and none of them are white, and none of the conversations are about white people or men. And it's just like, it's just, anyways, I love that show. I love Hen.
Oh my God.
Anyways, but yes.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm not saying don't have theory. Like we're not saying don't have your theories. If you want to have theories,
Mhm.
please have your theories. All we're saying is examine a little bit where the theories, like, what is the basis of those theories? Where is this coming from? What is this rooted in? Because everyone is influenced, and it's things are rooted in something, whether it's our experience or like other, like, whatever other experiences we've had. It's rooted in something, and so
Yeah.
examine that. It's a similar, it was a similar, I think, vibe to when Lan was being confronted by Maxim and Ivan, and people's
Mhm.
immediate response was like, okay, we gotta just let Lan be a badass and let Lan kill them,
Yeah.
because Lan wasn't being enough of a badass for some
Right.
people, which is like, what a wild response.
It is.
What a wild response to this. To like, you, I think you have severely misjudged Lan as a character, let alone what kind of show it is that you are watching.
Yeah.
And pissed off Taylor Napier.
Right? It was so disappointing. Like, I can't imagine seeing, like, you as an actor, as a queer queer man, like, seeing, like, you're seeing your work being on the big screen, and you're seeing the scene that you're really proud of, and then you go online and you see all these comments about people, like, these shitty little fans saying like, oh, I wish this other character had killed your character, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Their friends, like, pissed off.
Yes.
It was so weird. Like,
Yeah.
the people were so obsessed with upping up Lan
Yeah.
that they thought the way of doing that was to beat up a queer man
Yeah.
for nothing.
Queer people are not your punching bags to get an emotional jolly off in watching TV.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm sorry to say, but like Swan is pretty much the same thing. It's like, it's one of the reasons why I think people are obsessed with Swan and Moraine, because we also see that, like, leaving the show. There's a few things that I've seen. One of them is, that will give more screen time to the, like, Rand and the EF5, because some people do not like the impact Moraine has in the TV show, which I'm sorry to say, that impact was needed, because if all of your main characters are 20, 25 years old something, you're already missing up a bunch of people who would potentially watch it because they like watching older people on the screen.
Exactly.
And where was I going? Shit, I had a brain fart. And also, no, one thing that I wanted to say is that I feel like there's a part of the fandom that feel very strongly about another part of the fandom watching the TV show, mostly because of Swan and Moraine. A lot of people starting watching the show because of that.
Yeah.
And I know you may want for everyone to love those books and to be there for Rand, or be there for Matt and Perrin and all of the other characters that you're attached to. But not everyone will.
No.
And it's fine that some people are watching this show for the gays, because it's actually very valid. Like, I'm sorry to say, if you don't get why people would watch a TV show just for the gay, please take a look at the last few reports from GLAAD. Like, the last one especially is it's just kind of scary, and actually it's
brutal.
It's two reports in a row that is kind of scary, because I was looking at the stats, because I'm sorry to say, I think it's important to mention that from the 22-23 season, so more than a year ago now, GLAAD publish every year. For those who don't know, GLAAD publish every year a report about queer representation in media, and they consider mostly US media. So they look at broadcast, cable, and a few streaming services. I think it's like the main 8, like Prime,
The main ones.
Prime, Apple TV, Disney, Hulu, Max, Netflix, Paramount, and Peacock. And for many years, like late 2010s, early 2020s, the number of queer characters we were seeing in media was increasing, and it was very, very positive, and we were happy to see that. In 22-23, we were at around 596 queer characters during the season, counting cable, streaming, and broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Already back then, they were mentioning that on those, about 175 would not come back due to series cancellation, end of series, this kind of thing.
Mhm.
Some of them got replaced by new show, but not a lot of them, because this year we were at 468 queer character, which is a decrease of more than 20%.
Mhm.
Yikes.
And next year, they're already saying that at least 170 of those characters will not return due to series cancellations,
Yikes.
which is 36% of those.
Yikes.
So even if there's new TV show coming back with queer character and discussing, I'm betting we're going to be under the 400 queer character next year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of that is, I'm not dismissing the ominousness of that, but like I'm wondering how much of that is just the fact that like so many of these streaming services are canceling show like fiction, like scripted TV left and right in favor of reality TV.
It's not just that.
It's
I'm not saying it's just that. I'm saying I wonder how much that plays into it, because we've seen a larger trend of like scripted TV is just sort of lingering because its reality is just.
I'm not going to blame reality TV, because there is the actually very recent example of NCIS Hawaii being cancelled. Who like it had like a lot of people of color and one main queer couple in it.
NCIS?
NCIS, yeah.
NCIS
Wow.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. It got cancelled when NCIS is kind of the type of show that stays for like season and season.
Yeah.
By what is it being replaced? By two NCIS show. One of it is kind of a prequel centered on like one of the white men of that show.
Of course.
And another is also centered on another white man. NCIS Hawaii was the only NCIS led by a woman, and I think a woman of color.
Woman of color,
And
yeah.
like two characters were dating in that show, two queer characters were dating in that show. So no, you do see people like shows with minorities being cancelled to be replaced by safer show.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was not arguing that was not happening. What I was saying is I wonder how much specifically on streaming services, because with streaming services, I've read a lot of articles about how we are not just losing queer shows, diverse shows, but we're losing a lot of scripted shows in favor of like Netflix is just churning out reality TV content farms. Now with Fox, ABC and all that, like I agree with you. Like it's, they don't sell their brand on reality TV.
No, not at all.
But like I blame streaming services not just for the lack of queer characters, but also for a lack of scripted television.
I just kind of want to do a few stats like for GLAAD, because I think this is very interesting. In streaming, for example, like so we lost 128 characters this season. Only 29 of them was from streaming.
Interesting.
On broadcast, the current total is 64 queer character, and we lost 37 character compared to last year.
Wow.
On cable, we went to 139 to 77 character. It's like
Yikes.
it's minus 40%, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
it is so bad.
Yeah.
So, it makes me kind of not really appreciate people who would really cheer about queer character disappearing from the Wheel of Time. Especially, there's a few accounts on Twitter who loved posting fish emojis and making fun of a specific fan base because they don't really like how that fan base behave. Like they don't like queer fan asking from behind the scenes stuff. In a, like, I'm sorry, it was the way it was asked was pretty basic for social media. And yeah, I'm sorry, like what I'm annoyed by is that what do you think making fun of queer fans is gonna accomplish? Like,
Yeah.
do you want your fandom to be inclusive, or do you want to be one of those fandom where like queer fans don't feel safe? Because
Right.
sometimes like
Mhm.
we keep saying that no, there's no homophobia in Twitter of Time, and I'm like, are you sure about that? Because sometimes you are.
Twitter of time is not a cohesion.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you are very happy about the potential death of some queer characters,
Yeah.
and I don't think you're realizing the impact.
Yeah. Not even necessarily like happy about it, but just like it's such an easy jump for you to go there.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Especially, and I think it may be helpful to think of it in this context. There are a lot of queer people, a significant amount of queer people, I think, involved in the making of the show.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They are very aware of the current climate of queerness in television right now.
Mhm.
Maybe think a little bit about this. Like it's and this is not to say I want to be very clear here. If this were to happen, and if it was in a way that made sense and made sense with the story, and not just like for the glorification of it all and whatnot, I could potentially see a reality of myself getting on board with that. It would
Yeah.
take a lot. It would take a lot for that to happen, but I could see a reality of that happening. But I mean, I don't think it's super likely. And also,
No.
you don't hire someone like Sophie Okonedo
Right.
to play a character on your show and be like, yeah, we're gonna kill off your character really really early.
Mhm.
Like it's the and I understand Sophie Okonedo is very busy, which good for her, girl. Get your
Right.
bag. They plan for stuff like this though. Like they plan for actors and like for them not being available, and they will work the schedule around them. And so it's not like, like a project pops up for Sophie Okonedo and it's a surprise to
Yeah.
production. Like they're aware of this. They've planned for it.
and also like Sophia Kennedy is like has been known in the past for agreeing to come on TV shows,
Yeah.
knowing that the character would get an expanded role later on. That's what
Mhm.
happened with Slow Horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Like she joined that show only because she knew that the character would grow in season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back to, you seeing, I also see a possibility where they kill Swan off and me coming to peace with it. But here's the crucial part of that. It would be the writer's room consisting of queer people of color, coming to the decision to make that choice in a way that makes sense, in a way that is not queer phobic. The people who are doing this on Twitter, y'all are not writers. Most of y'all are not writers. You don't know how screenwriting works. You don't know how show writing works. You're just yeeting theories out of your ass to see what sticks, and sometimes just to be controversial. There's a huge difference between jumping on and saying, "Oh, Lan should kill Ivana Maxim," or "Oh, they should kill Swan off," and between that and a show writer's room consisting of queer people of color coming together and saying, "Okay, how is this going to happen? How are we going to make it happen and honor the communities to which these characters or these actors belong?" Huge difference. So could Swan dying happen? Yes, but not for the reasons any of y'all are saying.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes I feel like it's just wishful thinking from their part, because have they not listened to Brave
Well, this is the other thing.
praise the impact of Moraine and Swan on him and his relationship with his mother?
Yeah.
Like, that man loves those two. And also,
Yeah.
like, do you not know that Sarah Nakamura is a Moraine stan? Like, she played Moraine in a clip that was about promoting Tower of Midnight. And like, I'm sorry to say, this is like the highest Moraine stan you can have. And you think she's gonna be like, yeah, those characters don't matter.
I want to do a little, not Professor Matt segment, but I want listeners to loop back around to, like, when you're theorizing, both center yourself and decenter yourself. What I mean when I say center yourself is ask why you are saying and theorizing what you're saying and theorizing.
Mm-hmm.
Decenter yourself in the way, or in the sense that you should recognize whether or not your theory works for the story. So like
Mm-hmm.
you need to take the personal and like recognize when you're being personal. So this is sort of, I'm being sort of convoluted, but let's just say, let's take two theories. Let's take a homophobic one and a opposite of homophobic one. I don't know. So the theory that Swan dies, why do you think that? What is it about Swan dying in the coup makes you happy and makes you want to see that? What is the textual backing? What in the show supports your position? And I think if you ask yourself that, you will reveal a lot of yourself. Like, what is it that you want to see? And I think a lot of us realize this when we are shipping characters. For instance, here's a more positive theory. Okay, let's say Matt and Rand get together. Why would I theorize this? Well, there's there is some textual support to it. Like there's the scene in the barn in season 1, there's some chemistry in season 2, but also I have to be honest and say that one, I want to see more queer men on TV, and two, I have seen Yosha act in gay roles and I want to see that again. So I'm being honest with myself and saying, does that theory that Matt and Rand will get together, does that have textual backing? Some, not a lot. But the more important thing is, why am I thinking this way? What is it about me and what I'm bringing to the show that is making me come up with this theory? And you should always do that with all of your theories, because I mean, not all theories are either harmful or not harmful. Like there are some totally neutral theories, like, you know, will they change the Tower of Genji into something else? Like that has no moral or homophobic implications. But if you're making a theory involving a character death, especially a character who is of the actor whom is of a marginalized, because I don't want to say Swan is marginalized, because in the Wheel of Time show, that just doesn't exist. But if the actor is of an identity that is marginalized in our world and you want them to die, ask yourself why. What is your textual back or your media textual backing, and what is it within yourself and your opinions and your worldview that makes you want to see that happen? And I think some of you might find that you are a little more homophobic than you think.
Or that like or not even makes you want, like not even like makes you want to see that happen, or like just makes you think that that is a real possibility.
Right.
You know, like what is it that makes you, because that's more what it is for me. I don't, at least the majority of people, I don't think it's I genuinely don't think it's that this is what I want to see happen. I don't think that's why they're saying it. I think it's more coming from a place of them saying like, I feel like this is possible. This is a possibility. It is a strong possibility that that this could happen. And then my question to that is the same as yours, Matt. Why?
Yeah.
What is your reasoning that, like, why is it that you think that this is such a strong possibility? Like, if I think about it, it is a fear of mine for sure. And the reason that it's a fear of mine is because this has happened before.
We have been conditioned.
We've seen this happen before.
Yeah.
We've conditioned to see this happen time and time again. And that is precisely why, given everything that we know about the show, given everything we know about the showrunner and the producers and writers and whatnot, this is precisely why I don't think it's likely that it's going to happen, because they are very aware. They're very aware of the context to this and the history of this.
Honestly, if the intention was to kill Swan, first, it would have been something known before even casting Sofia Conedo. And second, I don't think Rafe would have made Moraine and Swan like a thing, because Rafe is very much aware of the bury your gay trope. And actually, Taylor's comments regarding people wanting Lan to kill Maxime makes it very clear that they are very aware of that trope, because
they know
that was fucking offensive to Taylor.
Yeah.
And this is not a positive counter to the increasing removal of queer characters from TV, but it's an interesting trend I'm seeing, is that the shows that are keeping queer characters are leaning into it more. Like these past few years, so like we've seen it with 3 shows in particular come to mind: The Wheel of Time, 911, and Chucky, the killer doll.
That is an interesting mix of shows.
It is. These are all shows that are inclusive, and they've always been inclusive, but with the increasing lack of queer characters on TV, they have leaned more into the queerness.
Mhm.
And that's what we need more of. We need more Wraiths. We need more Chucky / 911 showrunners who are like, you know what? This show is too big to cancel from a financial
Mhm.
standpoint, so we're just
Mhm.
going to make it more queer. And if you don't like
Yeah.
it, you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially the message that 911 and Chucky are sending as well.
Yeah.
They've added diverse characters, and they're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
The thing is that there's a lot of shows that I've seen leaning so much into their queerness, like A League of Their Own.
Mhm.
I'm still mad that it got cancelled
Oh
because
my God.
that was like
What a beautiful show that was. Oh.
the first few episodes wasn't like, it was just queerness and queerness.
Yeah.
And such a disappointment that it got cancelled. Still today,
disappointing.
it's
I'm trying to express a silver lining that despite all this bad stuff,
Yeah.
there are people out there, there are powerful people out there who are fighting and who are trying to change the narrative.
And I think the Wheel of Time especially has a lot of power in keeping queer people part of the narrative while still staying in the streaming services and not disappearing, because queerness is very much there, but it's also not the topic. It's a fantasy TV show. It's a strong fantasy TV show with a lot of diversity, not just in queerness, but also in people of color, in a lot of women, especially a lot of older women, not 20-something years old, but 50s, 60s. And it's a strength. And it also means that they do have a lot of opportunities to expand the queerness compared to the books, because there's also like some foundation that was there in the books, and to also have strong stories that will keep them part of the narratives of those days. And it would be sad to get rid of the queerness and destroy that.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to. I think those three shows, 911, Wheel of Time, and Chucky, have so many queer characters in them and so many non-white characters that they're almost operating on a different wavelength, a different standard than a lot of TV shows, because we're getting to the point with these shows and those like them where a queer character or a non-white character could be killed off or suffer trauma, and our first response is not, oh, this is bury your gays, or this is some sort of trauma. And that's good. That's what we want. We want diverse characters to be so normalized, so prevalent in media that they can be subjected to trauma without us saying, hold on, wait, what's this all about? And is it really doing more harm than good? And I think Wheel of Time is doing that.
And I completely agree. And it's part of why, like, now this is a show that's in a very different genre than all of the ones you mentioned, but this is part of what makes Abbott Elementary such a beautiful thing. Because you can have, you have this show that has such a diverse cast of characters, and you can have them, have faults. It's so much fun getting Black women who have faults. You know what I mean? And I mean and I mean that in a good, I'm genuinely pleased about this, because sometimes it feels like it has to be this or this. It has to be either she's the antagonist or she is the protagonist. She is the epitome of good. She can do no wrong.
That's that Moraine versus Swan in season 2, episode 7.
Oh my God.
I can't. We can't get into this right now. That's a whole other episode could be. I can't do this.
911 made me cry, because Angela Bassett, her character's daughter, fails to commit suicide in season 1, and in season 4 there's an episode centered around parents and children, and Angela Bassett's character, who's generally this strong woman who puts up walls, and you're like, oh, she's a badass, but sometimes those walls really fuck her over and alienate her family. And there's a scene where her daughter, who's like just her daughter is just like over having her as a mom. She's like, you're overprotective, you're overbearing. And then she works at a 911 call center, and she replays the 911 call her mom made 3 seasons ago of when she found her OD'd. And it's like the emotions, it's like there's flaws, there's deep emotional complexity there. And it's not like, the ending isn't like, oh, we're all happy now. And like, I am the perfect Black mother. It is, I have this trauma. My daughter's traumatized. I made a mistake in a way that manifested from my trauma. I need to do better as a mother. But also, I am owed this sort of grace in the ways that I haven't messed up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to talk about this. God, this show.
No, but that's what, like, this is what this is what we mean by representation matters. Like, I know it's just become this sort of resounding thing that people say when they want to say it, and whatever. It's it's kind of annoying, honestly, like when I hear some people say it, because I know that it's not coming from a genuine place. But this is what the core of it means. It means, like, we want media to be so diverse that characters are allowed to just, they're just given the space to be. And this is what we want. Like, this is what I want to see with Siuan. With the first 2 seasons, there weren't a lot of opportunities because, quite frankly, there aren't a lot of opportunities in the first few books for Siuan to really, like, Siuan doesn't really come into her own until, the thing. It's, or just a little bit before the thing. Like, season 3, I think we're going to see quite a bit of Siuan, or quite a bit more of her.
I don't even think in the books that she's coming into her own, like, before the coup. I think because I remember rereading The Shadow Rising and being surprised how abrupt the coup feels.
Yeah.
And I really think that Swan becomes her own character when she's running away from the tower. And she has to get her shit together and figure out what to do next and where to go next.
Yeah. Which, like, I mean, can be seen as a little bit problematic in its own way, because the only way that she gets there is by being brought down, which is an issue that the series has.
Yeah.
However, I like the way that it was handled. I think it made sense, like, with how it played out in the story. Great. No notes. I can't wait to see it on screen. I fully expect that it's going to devastate me. It's going to be terrible and wonderful. I cannot wait to see.
I don't want to see it. Shit.
I cannot wait to see. I can't wait to see Sofia Canedo act the shit out of that.
It reminds me, like, that for the Emmys. Was it the Emmys? I think. Like, every streaming services can, like, suggest which actors they want to actually get a nomination.
Oh, for your consideration.
And Amazon, the 2 actors from The Wheel of Time they put was Rosamund Pike and Sofia Canedo. They're not going to get rid of Sofia Canedo when they're actually, like, pushing for an Emmy nomination for her, when she so far doesn't have that much for a character yet. And still they're like, yes, this person should get an Emmy for what they've been doing on The Wheel of Time. Like, come on, this is not the behavior of someone, like, of a TV show that intends to get rid of that character. And I don't care if you don't like Swan and Moraine. At some point, you're going to have to suck it up and shut the fuck up.
People are allowed to like the show for whatever reason they like the show. Like, the point is, be happy that someone is supporting your show. People don't have to like all the same characters. Listen. I get it. When people are like, I'm not really a fan of Nynaeve, there's a part of me that it's like, excuse the fuck me? You don't like our Lord and Savior Nynaeve? This does not compute. There's part of me that goes that. And then the more rational side of my brain kicks in and says, you know what? They're allowed to like what they like. They're allowed to dislike what they dislike.
That's fine.
It's not my business. They're watching the show and they're supporting the show. They have their own characters. They have their own things that they like. Do that. If people are watching the show for Moraine and Swan, let them do it. It's fine.
Great. We'll get more views.
Exactly.
And also, I will say, you kind of want the queer fans on your side, because queer fans can be a lot, and that brings views.
Look,
queer fans as a type of fans are going to rewatch a show just so it doesn't get cancelled.
Listen, we hyperfixate.
We hyperfixate. We are so much like this. There's a lot of starvation that we are dealing with. We are so starved for good queer storylines that when we are seeing one, we're just like grip to it and make it a world thing and make podcasts about it.
Queer fans will make their problems your problems.
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And sometimes it ain't cute. That's all I'm saying.
No, sometimes it ain't cute. But like it's very much the vibe of like us seeing a queer character or seeing a queer couple and we're like, finally some delicious fucking it's that Gordon Ramsay meme. That's what we become. We're just like, oh, finally some good fucking food.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted also to mention, because I've been told that a few times, there's some people that consider that we should not make decision about where character goes just based on which category of people they belong to. Like, in a sense, we shouldn't decide whether a character should die or not because they're a people of color or like a person of color or queer character. And that leads to making theories that are completely ignoring the context. And the context is not just a context in the books or in the show, it's the context in our world. And that context, you can't just erase it. You can't just say, no, we should not take it into account while making decisions about those characters. Because at the end of the day, when the show will come out, people will remember that context. And people will let you know when you really messed it up because the context in which you did that sucked.
Yeah. And this, like, I'll just say this. Oh no, I just lost my thought. Oh my God. It was literally right on the tip of my tongue. Literally right on the... Fuck!
Was it about killing queer people?
It was. Or just like the context. Like, oh, yes, I remember. I got it back. We're good. When you have a when you have a cast of characters that is super diverse and like you have a lot to play with, it doesn't sting quite as much when you lose a queer Black woman or when you lose a queer man. Like it doesn't hurt as much when that happens. In an ideal world, yes, you should be able to like write a story, like to write a script and to write a character and say like, yeah, this makes sense with the story, and so we are going to kill off this character. You should be able to do that. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't. Keyword, it shouldn't matter what the character fit, like what categories they fall into. Unfortunately, this is not the reality that we live in. It sucks. I would love to come to a place where that was the reality, but we are not even close to there yet. So,
do y'all want some funny news that's a little relevant to this episode?
Always.
So the queer Harry Potter fandom / former fandom is winning today because the Dudley Dursley actor is playing a submissive bottom in a gay biker rom-com.
Yes!
J.K. Rowling is probably just... He's starring opposite Alexander Skarsgård.
Oh my God! Okay. I mean,
J.K. Rowling.
That guy's winning at life. Good for him.
She must her turfometer must be her homophobia must be just like from. So I'm just gonna tweet Dudley Dursley is now a submissive bottom for a gay kink leather biker movie. We're winning.
J.K. Rowling just like woke up like as soon as she like the light hit. Sort of streamed into her bedroom. She opened up her coffin and just sit right up and was like, something has happened. Something has happened.
The gender norms are
anytime Daniel Radcliffe like says something else that basically amounts to no, fuck you, actually. Fuck you, you transphobic person.
I love him.
It's so good. Every time he like says anything remotely, I feel like she just gets a shudder. She's just like, something's happened. Something's happening.
Because she is on the downward trend. Like she has her books, but her like the stuff that she's currently known for is being a TERF and mediocre at best detective novels. Where's Daniel Radcliffe? living his life and playing the weirdest ass roles that he wants.
He is having the time of his life. I love that for him. Love it for him.
I love how he had. Did you see the videos where he was just talking with trans kids and asking questions in his counseling? I think I saw part of it, and I just love that he did that.
Love
for
it.
I think it was for Trans Visibility Day or something like that. And yeah,
he's a good one.
Yes. That's absolutely the appropriate response. And like, like when people ask like, he's like, yeah, I can recognize that she is like the reason that I have this, like, I'm in the place that I am in as it stands now. Like if she hadn't written the books, then I wouldn't be here. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean I think she's a good person.
I don't owe her.
And that doesn't mean that I don't owe her shit, and I'm not gonna support her bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, yes, she helped me at the time, but she doesn't own me.
No, absolutely. He's a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He's a grown-ass man.
Okay, so...
Okay.
We're running up on an hour, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think the last thing maybe to mention was like a lot of people are also very obsessed about killing people because of Game of Thrones.
Yes, please stop it.
Oh, Game of Thrones did some
and Walking Dead
damage. That one too.
And I'm like, I'm sorry to say, there's already been dead people in the Wheel of Time. A lot of them were actually like characters that were almost non-existent in the books or created for the show. But that doesn't mean that there was not an impact from their death. You may have not liked Stepin, but I still think that Stepin's death and Karene's death were very important for the show.
We are still feeling the ramifications of their death now.
Yeah.
And their bond, like what we saw from their bond, we're going to be feeling it until the end of the series. It's important.
So yes, there's going to be more death, but that doesn't mean it's going to be like people that are like some of the top mentioned people in the books.
Yeah, they're not going on a murder frenzy.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, if you want to kill Swan, then let's talk about killing Tom.
Yeah. Yep. Equal opportunity.
I still think we should kill Tom. I think that he should replace whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, but like not right now.
No, not right now. I think that
not in fucking season 3.
I think that I think Tom's death serves as a good, impactful, stakes-setting death when he and Matt rescue Moraine from the Tower of Genji.
With Swan.
I know. Listen, Camille, I'm right there with you.
Matt, Swan, and Tom saving Moraine and Tom dying. That would be, you know what? That would be a death that is meaningful and makes sense.
It would be.
Good fucking food.
Not Swan dying in the coup.
Yeah.
And I say that because, and so just to like practice what I preach. So why do I want this? Because I think that Tom doesn't serve a purpose after Moraine is rescued, first of all. Second of all, there are too many characters, and I can't even remember the name of the guy who goes with Tom and Matt into the tower.
No.
Jane Farstrider.
Jane Farstrider, yes.
Jane Farstrider, okay.
2, you could even combine Tom and Jane Farstrider to reinforce the idea of Heroes of the Horn.
Yeah.
And 3, to have Tom die, he would be, assuming at this time a fan favorite, it establishes the stakes, or it reestablishes the stakes of the show right before the last battle. So that is my rationale behind wanting to see this particular, and with Swan being the third person. This is why I want to see the theory play out, and I just ask that everybody else ask themselves why they want to see these theories that they come up with play out. And that's all I have. Don't be a dick.
And the changes needed to give Swan and Moraine an happy ending are so minor compared to all of the changes that will need to be done for those books to come into a decent TV show, that why would we put forward a change that fundamentally change a Gwen's character?
Yeah.
Instead of that minor change that would give Swan and Moraine an happy ending. Why would we do that? Anyway, do we have anything else to say?
Food for thought.
No.
I don't think so. I do want to talk about episode 7 again and the Moraine versus Swan whole conversation, but that's a whole other episode.
Next time that Twitter of Time gets like in a frenzy
Touchy.
about this episode, then we can have another rant.
Okay.
If you want.
Excellent.
Oh, Kevin.
Oh, what did Kevin do?
Oh, he photoshopped Loyal and Yoda over each other, and now
Oh, no.
Loyal looks like Yoda, and it's cursed. And okay, well, thanks, Kevin.
Anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of The Queers of Time. I hope you enjoyed the rant. If you learned something great, feel free to share that to anyone who wished Swan's death. I hope they will learn something out of it. What else? You can find us, as always, on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, Blue Sky.
Tumblr. I forgot to post the Tumblr. I will post the Tumblr later.
Wait, I said Instagram, but I completely meant Tumblr because we're almost never on Instagram. You know that I keep I'm still logged in the Instagram account for Queers of Time, so regularly I see people following us because I have notification for that account. Yeah. I'm like, I'm so sorry that you are following us.
I know. We need to do better. We need to do better, and this is us calling ourselves out.
Listen, I don't like picture, I don't like video. So what am I gonna do on Instagram?
I will figure out something. Something. We'll see.
We should do again like those small audio extract, but I just don't have the time.
It's just the time. It's the time.
Takes time. What else? If you want to support us, we do have a Patreon, so feel free to look that up. And thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.